What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday. Come on in the room. Hey, everybody. Thank y'all so much for stopping on tonight's live. Come on. I see folks coming in. Listen, as you come into tonight's episode, into the live feed here, do me a favor. Go ahead and shout out where you are watching from. I want to give a big thank you to everyone that's been rocking with me every single Sunday. Y'all, the testimonies have just been coming in, and I get overwhelmed at stuff like this because it's so amazing to like be able to just spew love. Like, it's so amazing to be able to bring these awesome testimonies to you. Tell me where you're watching from. I see y'all coming in. Hey, everybody. Tell me where you are watching from. Listen, tonight I have, okay, y'all. Tonight I got a very special treat. Okay, Monroe, Louisiana. See, this is going to be the treat tonight. So many of you know I recently got married, and I had a long distance lover, as the old song used to say. And so I relocated from Michigan all the way to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, well over 1,700 miles. We had a long distance romance. And so my husband is a true man of God. And so when you connect your life to a true man of God or woman of God, you also get the benefit of the most amazing people and dopest people that they know. So listen, tonight, y'all, we are going all the way down to Louisiana. I know for the past two sessions, we have seen my friends from Michigan, but we're going to take a look at what's happening down south here in Louisiana. So I have an amazing couple that's getting ready to share their testimony with you all. Listen, they came to our wedding in Louisiana, and I instantly fell in love. When you talk about just genuine and authentic people, that is who is getting ready to come to the stage tonight. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kairos Crystal. I am just a girl that loves love. I love showing forth the love of Christ here on the earth. And you are watching Single on a Sunday, which is a YouTube and Facebook show of biblical encouragement for singles. And it's also a spot of hope, a spot of hopefully encouragement and inspiration, just to let single and unmarried people know that God has not forgotten about you. So we've been doing this series called Divine Introductions. I always say it's not hard for God to send you your kingdom spouse, your kingdom marriage. It's not hard, y'all. And so this series has been all about simply how did you meet? How did you meet? How did God just kind of like, wow, of all the people in the world, of the billions of people in the world, God was like, do 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 do, bam! I want those two to meet each other. So that's what the show is going to be about tonight. I have a beautiful couple that's getting ready to come to the platform tonight. Like I said before, they are just jewels. Listen, they serve in marriage ministry together here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They're going to tell you a little bit about that. And what I love about them is in the pre-interview, I said, hey, is there anything that's off limits? Anything you don't want to discuss? Because this is like World Wide Web, you know? And here is what they responded. They said, Crystal, if it can help somebody else, if it can bless somebody else, we'll be an open book. We don't mind sharing the good and the bad. We don't mind sharing when it got a little rough, a little bit rocky, right? And so I'm so excited to bring the Nelsons to the stage. They are, I'm going to call them serial daters. They love dating, y'all. And I tell you, they are so cute. So I'm going to bring them to the stage right now. Give me just 1 second. Let me get through all my little streams and stuff. Okay, here we go. Nelsons,
Hey.
Hey, y'all. How's it going?
Good.
Doing great.
Good. Listen, I'm so excited to have you on the show. Thank y'all so much for just willing to be a part of everything. How's your day been?
Today has been amazing.
Good.
As most Sundays, but today was really special.
I love it. Listen, last week we spent pre-Valentine's Day together. They are the leaders of a marriage ministry, and they had the cutest sweetheart ball, y'all. I mean, we got dressed up like it was prom. Well, I went to prom in 2003, but there were couples there that had been married for well over 50 years. And y'all, if don't believe what the world says, that marriage is overrated or that, you know, the enemy is all up in Christian marriages. Listen, it was the most beautiful display of love and godly love. And so I just honored them tonight because they are doing the work. They go hard for marriages. They fight for marriages. So y'all ready to dig in tonight?
We're ready.
You're ready.
Okay, so let's just break the ice here. Tell us, like, how many years you've been married, what's your family dynamic? Just give us like the bare necessities right now.
Okay, so we have been married for 12 years.
Wow.
Yes, and so we have 4 children. We have a beautiful blended family.
Yes.
So our oldest he just turned 24 on the 14th of this month, and our youngest just turned 10 on the 13th of this month.
Wow.
So, yeah. And so those are 2 boys, and in between we have 2 girls who are 17 and 21.
Beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna save a question later. Now that you have like adult children, I got to know something from a parent perspective. So let me ask you this: what were you all doing as single individuals, like before the two of you met each other? And I bring this question up because, you know, sometimes if you are a single person and you're waiting on your kingdom spouse, we get distracted by that part, or we get a little kind of like obsessed, like, when are they coming? When are they coming? When are they coming? So just tell us a little bit, like, as individuals, what were you all doing before you met each other?
Okay, I'll start. Okay, so for me, it was pretty difficult during the time before we met. So right before we met, I was in a marriage, and we were actually on the verge of separating to take it further. We had already separated one time, and things didn't change, and I knew in my mind that the next time there would be no going back. Sure. And so with that in mind, I had 2 young girls. I had one who was almost 5, and I had one that was 7 months old. And so I was in a rough patch. I had a rough patch at that time. I'll just say it like that. And so I wasn't into church or anything like that. I just kind of had fell by the wayside.
Okay.
And I struggled for a long time. And so during that time, it was just more about just me trying to figure it out and trying to put my children in a healthy situation. And so as a mother with 2 young girls, that was a very difficult decision for me to make. But prior to us meeting, that's where I was.
Wow. Louis, what about you?
And well, prior to us meeting, I had came from a marriage. You see, I actually met her. I had been divorced for about 5 years, almost going on 5 years. And at that time, I was in church, but not active.
Yeah.
You know, I was a member. I would go every Sunday, going through the rituals, not really doing anything in the church. So, I mean, I was in the church. It was a fairly large church. I barely knew people on a personal level at that point. But it was always just me. And at that time, my son was with his mom. And so I was doing the trying to co-parent, Sometimes I'd have trouble getting to see him on the weekends when I wasn't working. So by the time we met, and I knew that whoever I was with was going to have to be somebody that that could connect with him as well.
Yeah.
I knew I was gonna need that help.
This is interesting because we haven't had yet on the show like where both individuals were kind of like single parenting, so to speak. And so let me just kind of break right here before we go to like the official like meeting question. How important would you say, as someone who is a single parent, like how important is it to just kind of like balance yourself and not forget about your responsibility as a parent while also being like open for love?
It is extremely important.
Yeah.
And I can just say, just for me, from my standpoint as a woman, and having the girls there, it was just so important for me to get it right. Mm-hmm. And so I had to show up for them every day.
Sure.
Regardless of what was going on in my own personal life, I had to show up for my girls every single day. Yeah. And so even, despite what was going on the inside, I had to have that outwardly appearance for them, because I just definitely didn't want this to be their situation. So at the same time, though, I knew I had to be open. I hadn't given up on love.
Okay.
I just, I never gave up on love. And even though I said I wasn't in the church at the time, my background and stuff, I knew that God was still ever present. Yeah. And so that's the one thing that did not leave me. And so I held on to that. And that's all I had.
I love it. Louis, do you want to comment on that?
Sure. For me, for me as well, the thing that was the struggle for me was, trying to, being single again. And now I was a single dad. So yeah, I was trying to, have my fun, but at the same time, not let my son not see me in a positive light. I knew the steps that I was taking, he was going to be coming behind me. So it was important that, I was being the correct image of a man for him, so that he knows how to be a man as he grows up.
That's so good. Oftentimes I think, there is perhaps like an open door for the enemy to try and make single parents, feel like there's no hope, right? Like nobody's going to want you with X amount of kids, or, your time is coming on, or whatever it may be. And so I love how you two are sharing that, like, you were still open, like you were still having fun, still living life, still ready to like enjoy what God had for you in that moment. So if you are single parents and you're watching, like, let that serve as encouragement for you. If anything, God's going to give you the strength that you need to parent and do that well. But God also has love for you in the future. So I love that. Let's transition now. Let's go into this official question of how did you two meet? Now, I heard there was a mutual friend, an email. Yeah. I heard it was, some juiciness going on. So let us know, how did you officially meet?
Okay, so it's the strangest story. So I actually saw him one day. He worked at a drugstore and he was the manager. And I saw him one day and I just don't know. It was just something about him, but I wasn't going to approach him. I was never going to approach him, but I always, like, there was something always in me, I used to say this to myself, is like, I will chase him until he catches me. So what I meant by that, I'm going to always look the part. I'm going to make sure that even though I want him to see me, he will not know that I want him to see me. And so he worked at this store and I would go to the store every day. It was a drugstore. And so I literally looked for prescriptions that I had that had to be refilled, and I moved them all over to his store just so I can go in with my best outfit on.
Yes.
So,
cute, huh?
Yes. Went to the store every day. And finally, after like probably maybe a month,
I know, hook and real.
Yeah. So after a month though, I didn't see him. And I didn't notice like consistently, like after I had went in probably about 5 times, I'm like, where's this guy? Never saw him again for a while. But let me just go back. As I was going to the store as often as I was, I called my girlfriend, who my best friend, she knows everybody.
Uh-oh.
And I called her and I said the strangest thing. And I said, I think I saw my husband. That's what I told her. I said, I think I saw my husband. And she's like, what? And I asked, I said, who is that guy? And she said, his name is Mr. Nelson.
Uh-oh.
And that was it. So then I as time went on, I didn't see him anymore. And so finally I asked somebody, I think it was another mutual friend, and she said, oh, he did you move stores? Or
yeah, transferred.
He transferred to another store in Baton Rouge or somewhere. So I didn't see him for a while.
2 years.
Wow. 2 years?
No. I didn't see him for a while. And then I ended up, it was some months later, kind of getting this story together. But he saw me, he started working in Plaquemine again.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he started working in Plaquemine again. And this time he was working with a mutual friend.
Okay.
And I was going in this shopping center in the parking lot. I was going somewhere over there.
You were looking for her.
I was looking for her.
At least that's what she told me.
I really was. I didn't know he was there. I was looking for her and she wasn't there, but he struck up a conversation with me, but we never exchanged names or anything. And when we didn't exchange names at the time. He knew my name. And so when I got back to work, my girlfriend said she emailed me, and it was she said, by the way, she wanted to go to lunch with me. And she said, by the way, Louis says hello.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, wait, how does he know my name? We never exchanged names. So at that time, we only had email. We didn't have text and all this stuff. So
12 years ago.
Yes. Actually, that was more like
15,
16 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's about 16 years ago in 2005. And so when that happened, she, it was like, okay. And he wants to know if he can call you. I said, well, give me his number. Maybe I'll call him. Because I just wanted to be in control of that situation.
Say, I'm steering this ship.
Yeah. So I ended up calling him and we just struck up a conversation on the phone. Nothing heavy, but just kind of like introducing ourselves, just talking a little bit.
Listen.
Yeah.
This is good. See, I didn't know all of the layers and the details of this. And this is why I love these conversations. There was someone on my YouTube channel and they wanted to know, because this had been plaguing them, like, well, have I missed my husband? Like, God, you said this, or God, like, I saw this guy, or I was kicking it with this guy and we had to go separate ways. So you guys, like, you saw him, right? Saw each other. You guys were kind of doing life in a separate space. And then there was some time in between, right? How much time?
It was about 2 years.
About 2 years. Wow. Tell me what was going on? Like, Louis, did you have like the same initial attraction? Like, what was that? Was there initial chemistry? How did that evolve?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you asked that, because let's go back to me working in the drugstore. So I saw her when she came in, of course, and yes, she must have had her best outfit on, because I can remember most of her wardrobe that she used to wear.
Wow.
And when she would come in, I never was the type to approach women. I wouldn't. I'd be in the area, and if we struck up a conversation, so what? So when she would come in the store, a lot of times I'd be peeking down the aisles, watching her walk down the aisle. And the very first time she came in the store, she was in the back of the pharmacy, and I might be breaking some HIPAA laws or something, but when she left the store, I went straight to the pharmacy, and it was a coworker I had back then, Wendy. I asked her, I said, what was the lady's name? And she was like,
yeah, that's a HIPAA law.
And I described what she had on from head to toe. She's like, oh. And I remember she said her name is Angelon. And it was just the way she said her name. I still hear it that way every time I say her name.
Oh.
It was a moment for me, really.
Wow.
But at that time, like she said, you was separated then, or I wasn't sure, but
yeah,
I just watched from afar.
Yeah.
And then, like she said, I transferred away, and when I came back, I was working at a different location with Joyce. And on that day, when she drove up in the park, it was in a strip mall. So if you can imagine, the front was all glass, so I could see everybody in the parking lot. And I was actually with a client at the time, and I saw when she pulled up and she got out the car, and she was just kind of looking around. And it was I remember there was an older lady I was talking to, and I was gazing out the window, and she repeated herself a couple of times, and then I realized, she was still talking to me, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And then she looked over her shoulder. She said, well, go talk to her, honey.
Oh, come on, Mama.
So I walked out the door. I think I stood in the doorway, and I said, can I help you? Now, she's not in my store, but she's in the parking lot, so I'm asking her if I can help her. That was the only way I could get up the nerve to say anything to her.
Yeah.
And then she said she was looking for Joyce, and I think I told you I tell her that you had came, and we talked, and yeah, it was like, I didn't think you remember me, but I didn't think you remember me, but I remember you or whatever. And she went back to work. So when Joyce came back, I was all in Joyce's face, so telling her that she had to say something to her for me. So
wow. Okay, so let me connect the dots here. So I love this part because Lewis is like, I'm not the type. I'm not, Mac Daddy, smooth operator. Like that's not me. And then Angeline is also like, well, I control the situation. Give me his number. Like, let me figure out how to make this work for me. And so I love that concept because sometimes single people feel like, well, I'm too much, or I need to change all of this stuff, right, about myself. Like, oh, well, you just get out there and do it, or just, you know what I mean? And we could have ended up missing each other had we pretended to be something that we were not, right? And that's just the beautiful handiwork of God to be like, listen, if God accepts me as I am, then whoever is coming for me has to accept me as I am as well. So you call, what was like that first conversation? Because y'all, it's been some years in the game now, and a lot has happened in your personal lives. So did you call with the intent to be like, let me see? Or was it more like, I don't know. Walk us through that first call and your first few dates.
Okay, I'll just say it's by the grace of God that we're together, because our personalities tend to be different, where I'm more of a serious person, believe it. And he has more fun than me, I guess.
Really?
He laughs more than me, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And so when I called him, he laughed the whole time.
Oh, he was giddy, wasn't he? He was giddy. No, he didn't know what to do. He was like, oh.
So he's laughing through the conversation. I'm like, what is with this dude? This is crazy.
Even now, she when something happens funny and I laugh, she gets funny. She just looking at me like.
It's the balance though. Y'all two, it works well, right? Too many times we get comfortable with people that's just like us, and it's like, no, like explore a little bit. So you laughed the whole conversation. Now, Angela, you kind of made the first move. And sometimes in the church they say don't make the first move. But that worked out in your favor. You really had like a Ruth moment. Like you had like let me go out. let me go ahead and put myself in front of. So can you walk us through that now? Like for some, saved women. Now we're not out here just doing ungodly stuff, right? Or being just like, reckless. But walk us through like what that looks like to have the confidence of an unmarried saved woman to just simply approach, not to look thirsty or desperate or anything like that, but to show a man that I am available or open if you feel the same way. Can you share that? And then Lewis, I want you to like also share like how that was reciprocated or how you received her assertiveness.
Yeah. Okay,
so by my friend sending me that email, that showed me that he wasn't going to approach me. And in all that time that I saw him in the store, he never did approach me. And I know that I was not going to approach him. Yeah. So I took it as his asking about me and saying hello or whatever. I took that as his way of making the first move.
Absolutely.
And so with that being said, I called him and said, "This is Angela, and you wanted me to call you."
That's exactly what you said.
Yeah,
it was very professional.
It was very professional.
Yes.
Yeah, and he laughed through the whole conversation. But I mean, that's how it happened because I knew that that was going to be his first move to someone else. I could tell from his personality that's how it was going to be.
Yeah.
And my personality it is a little bit stronger and more direct. And so I was kind of like, "What you want?"
Like, come on, brother.
Yeah. But I mean, and that was basically it. But then I put the ball back in his court.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Lewis, how did you receive all of that?
I was, in a way, I was surprised when she did call. I thought she was going to figure I was just flirting with her and be like, "Oh, whatever." But when she called, and that's probably why I laughed through the whole thing, because it was more of a nervous laugh, because it was like, okay, so I said this and then she said that, so now what? But I'm glad it worked out that way though.
Yeah, me and Lewis are kindred spirits, because when I did Preach the Game interview with my husband, anybody go back and watch the video, I was a giddy mess. I was like my 8th grade self, and I was like, what is wrong with you? But it was that nervousness coupled with like the attraction, coupled with like, this is easier than I thought, but I'm still a little bit nervous, so I completely get it, Lewis. I stand in solidarity with you. Let me ask you all this. So you date, how long did you all like officially date?
Okay. Let me just say that after we had that interaction, we talked a lot on the phone and stuff, probably for about 4 months. That's when I physically separated.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's about how long it lasted. It wasn't a dating. We didn't start dating until like a year after that.
Wow.
A lot of things transpired in that time, and it wasn't the right time. I had to get my stuff straight, and clearly at the time he had some things going on too.
I need to get too.
So we felt like we were two good people, but just not good for each other.
Yeah.
We had, it just wasn't the right time. I had to focus on my kids. And so we didn't start dating until a year after that. So we had to come back together. And that's when he actually called me.
Yeah.
And
okay, Lewis.
So the door was open now. So I didn't have that nervousness I had in the beginning. So it was easier for me.
Yes. This is so beautiful. Like this recurring theme of pretty much like what God has for you is for you. And I know it's cliche and churchy, and we don't, like to deal with cliches and stuff like that, but it's so true. And I often say that God's timing is impeccable. Right. And so even on people's journey and their singleness, it's like, God, when? Like, I'm ready now. Like, Lord, like, what do I have to do to be married? And meanwhile, God is working behind the scenes. Right. And I love, Angeline, like how you say it, like I had to take care of my stuff. Like I had to put some stuff in order. And so I really believe that God honors that. Like he honors when we say, God, I want my life to be whole for the sake of being whole, not just to get married, not just to throw a wedding, but like, I want my life to be in right standing with you because that's going to honor you. So all this time has kind of gone by, but you guys remained in communication as friends, did not pursue anything. It wasn't anything crazy like that going on. What would you say was like the moment where you were like, this is the one for me? Like, Angela had already been there. She was like, I met my husband. But so much, she was like, I have a moment. I'm waiting on Lewis. But a lot of time, passed in between the first time that you felt that impressed upon your heart until this actual moment of like dating each other and like being in a relationship. So how did you know? Like, how what's the best way you can describe that you knew you two were meant to be together?
Okay. So let me just say, I want to back up a little bit. That year after I said that we completely disconnected. Completely.
Wow.
And I'll tell you how it happened. So at my ex-husband, we were okay. So the way the law was back then, I think it's changed. You had to be separated 12 months. You had to be separated 12 months before you can file for a divorce.
Oh, in Louisiana?
Yeah. In Louisiana, for sure. That's how it was. We had to be separated for 12 months. And so coming up on probably, had gotten almost to the end. I'm kind of missing some time here, but I know we only had a few months left into that. And my ex-husband, I actually contemplated going back during that time. Because I was like, I never wanted to be divorced. God doesn't like divorce. I need my children to be with their dad, blah, blah, blah. And I felt like that. And then I truly believe that God showed me otherwise. He showed me one time we were having one of those little clashes, and he said something derogatory towards God. And when I literally saw black, that was just, this cannot work. And so when that happened, even some months after that, and we're still like not there, whatever, but he becomes in some legal trouble and he almost got evicted.
Oh, wow.
Well, I did not, as the father of my children, I didn't want to see him struggle like that. So even though he didn't even know where I lived, because we were kind of like in hiding because of some other things that had occurred, I made a decision to let him come and live with me to get on his feet. But I knew we were approaching that 12-month period at that time. And two things. I didn't want to make him think that we were back together.
Sure.
So I never gave him the impression that we were back together. I always said, I'm helping you. And the second thing is I made him sign a piece of paper that said, I'm renting from you until I can get on my feet, but we are not in a relationship. Because I said that I'm almost at this year and I know that I'm going to get this to the judge.
Yeah.
And I didn't want it to be, oh no, she moved me back in, so she had me, so
right.
I got that in order.
Right.
And so he knew that he had moved back in with me, but he thought that he moved back in with me because we were trying to make it work. And that wasn't what was going on.
Oh, so Lewis was like, never mind.
Yeah. He was already gone and we weren't communicating, but he had heard it through the grapevine.
Oh, wow.
So when he did reach back out to me, he asked me, how are things going? And I was like, things are okay. And he asked me about the ex. And I said, well, we're divorced. And he didn't know that. We had been divorced at that time for some months, almost probably a year.
Yeah.
No, maybe about 6 months. We had been divorced for like 6 months and he never knew. I wasn't dating anybody. And that's how at that point, we started dating.
Wow.
We started dating at that point.
There's this song by Morette Brown Clark it's a popular wedding song in Christian weddings now. It's called The One That He Kept For Me Until It Was Time. And so that I keep hearing that as you guys share more about your story, because like Lewis could have been like, well, let me go find somebody else. Like, let me start all over again, not knowing what was happening. And so I love how God literally preserved you two, right? It was like, Everybody else off limits. No, don't even think about it. Don't even come this way because I'm going to do something miraculous in their love story. Woo! I didn't.
Oh,
go ahead. I just had a moment with that.
During that time too, we both drew closer to God. During that time we were separated, we both, like, he literally worked on the both of us at the same time. And this makes me emotional because I remember it was so many days I literally would dress my girls, bring them to school or daycare or whatever, and go back home. I would call into work and I would cry and I would pray all day. I would get on my knees and just pray. And I remember, I clearly remember this. And I said, Lord, if you just send me somebody like me, like me. And you know, we have different personalities, but our spirit is the same. Yeah, we have a spirit to serve, and we love God. Yeah. And so I said, Lord, if you just send me somebody like me, I know I'm gonna be all right. I know my girl's gonna be all right. Yeah. And that's how Lewis ended up calling me. And we were two completely different people at that time. Wow. We got back together.
Right. And for me, during that same time, let's see, that January 07, 06 or 07, something like that. When I'm talking about when I got baptized.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, before we came back together, I knew what I wanted.
Yes, yes.
But at the same time, I was hurt so bad by the previous marriage. When I left that marriage, I said, I'm not getting married again. And it didn't matter. It didn't matter who, what. You know, I had made an inner vow that I would never put myself in that situation again. Wow. But there was always that I guess that missing piece that I knew that I should. I'm a family man, and I need to be in a family. You know, I was raised that way, and I knew that I was supposed to be somebody's husband. But I can I could clearly remember the day, you know, like she said, we had separated from each other and wasn't really talking. But it was a day. It was in the spring. I can't remember what year, but it was before we got started dating again. But it was in the spring. I was in the mall, Louisiana. I was walking through the middle part, right where the courtyard is, and I know this sounds like, you know, a message from God or whatever, but like a cliche. But honestly, as I was walking across the mall, coming my way was a family. It was a husband, a wife, and a little girl. Yeah. And they were probably in their mid-20s, 25 or so. But as they walked to me, they were holding hands. And, you know, the little girl, as I looked down, I saw the little girl was happy, and I looked up in their face, and I could see the love that they had for each other because they were talking to each other and looking at each other in the eye. And I'm telling you, as I looked right away, I had the feeling, I was like, God, why I can't have that?
Come on. Yeah. And
I felt the Holy Spirit say, you could. And I already put you in place to do that. So it was only a few days later that I actually called her again. And I was like, at that same time, I knew when we were talking before, I didn't give my all. You know, I had like one foot in, one foot out, trying to be cautious. But the Holy Spirit was saying, if you wanted to work, you got to put both feet in. And I knew I had to commit from the beginning. So, you know, my prayer at that point was, you know, God, if it's her, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing, then I need your help to be the man that you need me to be, and the man that she needed me to be. And this was even before I had met, you know, Sierra and Jazz, and she hadn't met Trey then, because we never, you know, introduced our kids to each other prior to us.
Right.
Until the day, until we, you know, got serious and started talking about marriage. That's when they met.
They didn't even know we were dating.
Yeah.
You know, I so much I want to say, but I got to stay on topic. I was going to ask you that, just as like be a source of wisdom for single parents who are actively dating and who do desire to get married again, you guys did not introduce each other to your kids until you started talking marriage?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So did your kids know that you were doing anything, or they just kind of knew you as parents?
No, they just knew us as parents.
Yep.
We had this conversation from the beginning. I told him, I do not bring men around my children. And not, I know he's a good man. I had run a background check on him. I did. Because, I knew in my heart, I felt like he was a good man. And he seems to be a good man, but I don't know his background.
You don't know him.
I have girls. I can have boys, but I have children. So I need to know what his background is. And so I did run a background check on him. And it came back clean,
Yes.
But I really did. But the kids didn't know. We were just parents. I said I don't want to meet Trey and we're not going to do that. We're not going to bring these kids in a situation and make them think we're a perfect family and they're all excited and then things don't go right. So we said, once we get serious and we talk about marriage, which didn't take long. When we started dating, how many months went by? Maybe 3 months. We started talking marriage. At that point, we introduced the kids and we met family.
Yes.
And that conversation actually happened because as long as we talked, in the past, as much as we talked to each other, we never really discussed our views about family, our views about God, our relationship with God. It wasn't until that conversation actually came about that it was like, okay, this is real.
Yeah.
And, for me, once I knew her family background and I knew, the way she was raised, I knew again that I was in the right place.
Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious. Y'all, listen. Okay, so for the single parents out there, especially the women, because this has just been like the experience of most people I know, is that you get excited, right? Like, it's a brother that's checking for you, like he's a good guy, and you get excited, and so you want for your children to have a father so bad, right? You want that ideal family so bad. Sometimes we go too quick, right? And I feel like that's how we ended up with everybody is your uncle, right? This is Uncle so-and-so. Or this is my special friend so-and-so. And so there was so much wisdom in the choice that the Nelsons made to just say, wait, like, we can be adults and date and still manage our households, still take care of our responsibilities. But when you are responsible for a kid and you're a parent, like, you have to have another layer of wisdom that says, I can't do it the way that I would do it if I did not, have children, because they are impressionable. You're putting their safety at risk, right? Until you really know somebody. Like, there's a lot that goes with that. So I'm so glad that you shared that. Angelon said, and I almost flipped this couch over, y'all. I am blown away. I am blown away by this divine introduction. This is the reason why we do stuff like this, because I just want singles to be encouraged that, like, God is not forgotten about you. You are not, some thrown away, abandoned person that God doesn't care about the desires of your heart. But Angelon said he was working on the both of us at the same time, and they were in two separate worlds. They were in two separate, roles, capacities, identities, but God was working on them for this appointed time. So I just love this. Let's go into like your marriage at this point. Where have you seen like God's hand play out in your relationship and in your marriage? I know you guys had to work through the dynamics of a blended family and all of that. So talk to us about, like, what are just some testimonies that have happened as a result of your marriage?
You want me? Yeah. Oh, okay. As you can tell who the talker is. Well, God's hands has played out so much in our marriage, but especially in the blended family, because that is so difficult. It really is. And it's not just difficult because you have these children that you're trying to mesh together. You try to mesh this family together, but then you have each other's families that sometimes can play a role in how the children react.
Right.
You know, you could be, and I know for us, like within our four walls, we had, we talked to our children. We had, we explained to them, hey, we love you all just the same. You are brother and sister. We don't do the step thing in our house. We never did, because I never wanted our son to feel like he was the oddball, or the daughters to feel like they were the oddballs. So it was never a step thing. At the same time, we respected their parents.
Yes.
Okay. And we wanted it to be important that they saw that we respected their parents.
That's beautiful.
So despite whatever was going on, we never tried to return fire with fire. If say like we always wanted to show them that, hey, look, we never want the kids to feel like it was their fault. Anything was their fault.
Yes.
So sometimes you do have those outside influences who might put things in kids' ears, and we had situations like that, but we were able, first of all, I'm gonna say the Holy Spirit definitely showed me some things and showed me who had said some things. I don't know how, I knew it was that person because the Holy Spirit told me it was that person, and I went to that person.
Yeah.
And that, I think that nipped it in the bud. Yeah. And, normally you would think, you go to somebody and they might be upset with you and they might never want to speak to you again, because sometimes people do that when they know they're wrong. But we love each other just the same today, and they know the boundaries.
Right.
So, God definitely played a hand in that specific situation. And our kids now, they love each other, and we just love them,
Yes.
And we allowed them to stay in, not saying like they're in our relationship, but we kept everything open with them. For example, the day that I proposed to her, it was a Sunday after church, and we always would go eat. And what I did was I when she wasn't around, I told the three kids at the time, I said, I'm gonna ask Angela to marry me today.
Formally, we talked about it.
Yeah, even though we had talked about it, but I wanted to do it in front of them so that they can experience that and see the proper way for that to happen. So, long story, but at dinner, I had a friend of mine who played the sax come in, and while we were sitting at the table, and the kids knew what was going to happen, everything. I told them the whole story. So while we're sitting at the table, he comes in, he's playing the sax, and my dad comes in the other way, he's recording with the video camera. And she didn't know what was going on because she thought, oh, that's nice. The guy's playing music in here while we eat, whatever, that's nice. And then he comes to the table and he's still playing. And at the end of the song, that's when I got down on my knee and asked her to marry me. But like I said, I did all of that. I wanted them to be involved in the whole experience so that when they're of age and it's time for them to, either ask me to marry them or have somebody to ask them to be married, it should be a grand event. I'm reading Sierra's comment right there. That's why I said that.
That's one of our kids.
Sierra's one of the babies. Listen, Sierra been chiming in tonight. Some Sierra didn't know, but she know now.
Another thing to it, we talk about being open with our kids. Back in 2016, was it you lost your job?
Oh yeah.
He lost his job in 2016, and so we knew the kids were accustomed to a certain lifestyle. And so when that happened, we didn't hesitate to call them all in the room and say, "Hey, look, this is what's going on." Louis' dad lost his job. So things might be tight for a little while, but it's going to be okay. But we wanted them to know that. We didn't want to hide that from them because we knew that when God turned it around, we wanted them to see that too.
Yeah.
And so we've always been open with our kids.
And that way, if things happen in their life later, they can call back on that moment.
Yes.
And see that, God is still there and everything's going to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is so beautiful. Like, I really just appreciate and honor you guys as parents because I think Lewis said it earlier that there's a way to be a single parent and date and do all of the fun stuff, still live your life, but also still be an example for your kids, right? And I think we have an entire generation of young people who don't have the healthy example, right? They don't know what a healthy marriage looks like. They don't know that, you ain't got to get with everybody that, say hi to you. Like, they don't have these examples. So that's so beautiful how you guys are, like you said, including the children in appropriate ways in the marriage concept or in the concept of you all's family, instead of just saying, that their kids, they don't need to know about that, or this grown folks business, or whatever it may be. And you're not just being talkers about it, but you're actually modeling it and doing it. And so I absolutely love that. What would you say? We're getting ready to wrap up with 2 questions. I want to invite the audience. We do these live because if y'all got questions, if y'all want to know, put them in the chat, and I'm going to make sure that I ask Lewis and Angeline. So let me ask you this. What is, I think you all wrote this in the wedding card that you gave to Quentin and I, but you might have a different answer. So what is the best marriage advice that you have received?
You go.
The best marriage advice. I think it's become a cliche when people tell people keep God in your marriage or make sure God is in your marriage. However, they don't tell them how to do that, or even show them how to do that. Because you can very easily get in a marriage and try to still live like a single person and expect things to be different just because you signed on a piece of paper.
Come on.
And the most important thing would be to look at your marriage as a covenant and not a contract. Because like we said in the group, if you look at it as a contract, then you start to look for loopholes and try to find a way out of it. But when you realize it's a covenant between you, your spouse, and God, then that makes things totally different.
Yeah. Ooh, that's so good. We don't even, process that, I guess, prior to marriage, right? Like, everybody's saying, like, you got an out, or you got, all these options. And like you said, looking for loopholes, like, well, can I leave if, or can I get out if? And I'm not saying for extenuating circumstances, but for those that take marriage as something that's lightweight, or something that's a joke, or just something to do, right? Because 2 people like each other. So that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Angeline, you have anything to add to it?
No, I mean, I think he wrapped that up beautifully. Let's see. For us, I mean, we disagree, but we fight fairly. We don't hit below the belt. We disagree because that's normal, right? But we do not argue. People think that arguing is normal. You don't have to argue to disagree. You can disagree, but still, do it respectfully and get your point across. Our children have never seen us have an argument, and we have never had an argument since we've been married. We did have a knockdown drag out before we got married, and that's the first and last time he wanted to do that.
You was like, okay, one and done.
That's all it took. But our children have never seen us argue, but we always let them know, hey, people do argue, but there's a healthy way to disagree. And so we do that with our children, so if we've disagreed on anything, not only do we might have even had a disagreement in front of them, but at the same time, we come to a resolution in front of them. Yeah. But we've never argued. And that's the thing, is like, you have to always be mindful of your words when you're talking to your spouse. You have to be mindful, because you cannot take those words back. and that could just mess up the whole relationship. And so we've always been mindful and intentional of how we discuss things and when we disagree. And, we've always wanted to have a solution. We're not just going to have a disagreement and just leave it at that, but we always want a solution. So
we always want a solution. I'm writing that down for myself.
I feel the unction to say that in our marriage, there's never been a day, a moment that I felt as a man disrespected. So this woman, I mean, I can be a pill sometimes, I guess. She, even when we disagree, there's never any kind of disrespect going on. We talk about it. It's never the yelling of you screaming at me and I'm screaming at you. That doesn't happen. And for me, that's a blessing. And I appreciate the fact that, like I said, I've never felt disrespected as a man.
That's so huge. I'm so glad you said that, Lewis. Listen, my whole heart is to get people to see the love of Jesus through marriages and through healthy relationships. And I'm telling y'all, those of you that are watching, even if you come back and watch the replay, what we see in Hollywood, like all this drama, all of this disrespect, all of this like alpha, like all that stuff, I'd much rather be in a committed covenant relationship where there is safety, security, respect, unconditional love. Like there's so many benefits. In a godly marriage, right? And so I'm grateful that you said that, Lewis, because oftentimes people, especially women, right? Like you get discouraged, and men too. I know the brothers get discouraged too, because it's like, is marriage even worth it? Like, is it even worth it? Like you got this nagging, you got this disrespect, you got blah, 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 like all these things stacked up. But here is a living, breathing couple, y'all. Like, and y'all can tell that they happy. I mean, if you ain't smiled and got little warm fuzzies in your heart over the last 56 minutes, then I don't know, you might not have a heart, because you can just sense the purity, the purity of love in their marriage. Like it's not a show, it's not none of that stuff. I'm gonna get them off this camera because I'm gonna go do what married people do. They love each other so well. So as our last and final question, audience, if you have questions, now is your time. As our last and final question, what encouragement do you have, maybe Angela, or however you all want to do it, encouragement for both single men and single women who are waiting on like a love story similar to you all's, or not even similar, but a love story? They're waiting for what you have. Like, what is your encouragement to them?
All right. So for the women, I can say this. Just be patient, but in that time, in your waiting, make sure that you are allowing him to work on you.
God.
Don't focus on the type of man that that you want, and sometimes we have this picture of who we want. This is the person we want, and we're not even that person.
Yeah.
So we need to just allow God to just do the work. Yeah. Do the work, because just like we met before, we weren't ready. Had we gotten together before, we would not be where we are today. And so we have to let God just work on us, and don't be so concerned about who being in a relationship and trying to rush things, and trying to hurry up and let the kids have a family and make it look good, but be more concerned about how your relationship with the Father.
Yeah,
that's the most important thing. Allow that time of that alone time to develop that relationship with him and to work on that relationship, and it will make you a better person, because a lot of times the person you are before you allow God to work on you, and then the person you become after that, you're looking for a whole different type of person.
Right.
Not the same person.
That's so true. What about you, Lewis?
See, she got me that time. She went first because I probably was gonna say a lot of the same stuff, but no. But as a man, I would say be mindful of your company, and I'm saying that because like a lot of time when I'm around other guys, and it's the attitude people have about marriage, so to say. You know, some men don't know, they have the wrong view of marriage. I guess it's the reason why when you go to a wedding reception and the bride throws a bouquet, the women are knocking each other over trying to get the flowers.
Come on.
But when the guy throws the garter, there's like two guys up there, you know.
Or they run away.
And they're running away, right? But I think a lot of times men think that to have to be in a relationship or a committed relationship or a marriage and be committed to that marriage, a lot of times they think that it may take away from their masculinity, which actually it doesn't, because the purpose of a man is, you know, to be as being the husband is to be mindful and to be wise enough to know how to look out for those type of things. Yeah. So a lot of times there's conversations going around a lot, even on my job, like, you know, they'll start talking about their spouse or they'll talk about marriage or whatever. But when I come into the conversation, I'll say one thing and the whole conversation changed now, you know, because I'm trying to get them to see it a different way. Yeah. I feel like a lot of single guys, they can miss their wife because they're trying to, you know, be a playboy or feel like, you know, it's going to take away from them to have to commit to someone. So I would say, you know, you have to work on you. Just as Angelon said, you have to have that relationship with God. Because like I said, for me, I didn't realize what I was missing until I rededicated my life to Christ and I got rebaptized. And, you know, that's when I had that strong urge to want to be in the marriage again, after saying that I never would be in the marriage again.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Even that is so important to come out of agreement and renounce, you know, that idea of, well, I've been hurt so bad, or I've, you know, gone through betrayal, or, you know, the divorce was really ugly and really nasty. And some folks can find themselves saying like, you know, I'm never getting married again. Oh, marriage? No, I'm not doing that again. And it's even though, you know, the hurt is valid, your feelings are valid, like all that is justifiable, but to stand in a space as God the Father that wants to bless you with not just a marriage, right, but covenant, right, and family. Lewis has said he was walking in the mall and saw the family, and his desire was like so great to just be in a family. There's a scripture in the Bible that says God gives families to the lonely. Give families to the lonely. And so it's in Psalms somewhere. I'll have to put it in a comment or something later. But it's so beautiful because God doesn't just want you to be married, like, because you could go get married. You go find somebody, take your $30 to the court, and you could go get married, right? That's not hard. You don't need God to do that. But in order to be made whole, in order to live a healthy life, we didn't even get into it for this series, but it's coming back around in a series I'm gonna do in April, to understand like what's the benefits of marriage. Like it's not just to have a cute wedding like that. We can let go of that stuff, but you receive so much by joining together with a godly spouse. And so I just love the story. This is a testimony, y'all. This is a testimony, because it could have been another way. Like they could have went separate paths. They could have not, you know, had their moments and their time with God for them to be worked on. And so they wouldn't have never been ready for each other. Like so much could have happened. But when I say divine introductions, the Nelsons are perfect example of what I'm talking about when I say that God has not forgotten about you. He has literally worked. If you're not married and you're hoping and praying for a godly kingdom marriage and spouse, this is proof that God is working behind the scenes. You don't even know. You don't even know what's going to happen in the next 3, 6, 9, 12. You don't even know what God has in store for you. So this is an example. Nelson's. Now we got to have our own. We got to have our own night, because
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I got more questions, but thank you all so much for
Our
just
pleasure.
bearing it all. I love you all to pieces. Round of applause for y'all. This is just the beginning. Listen, with a story like this, I'm just gonna take this liberty. This is just the beginning. And you are a part of God's design. You are a part of God's plan to reconstruct and resurrect like the hope that's in marriage. So thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
I will see y'all. Well, I'll see y'all later. Okay.
All right.
They'll be married. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, because some brothers be watching my channel too. I know they do. This has been beautiful. This has been beautiful. Okay. The Lord has so much in store for you. So much healing. Like, there is a great reward, and there is a great love that is just getting ready to hit you all. That's my prayer. Every time that I come on, I am literally praying moments before, like, God, let this be a blessing to somebody. Is Ramaya or Ramia? I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrong, Latrice. Miss Hubbard, I am going to pray for you, because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be heartbroken. I know what it's like to struggle to forgive. I know what it's like to want to forgive, but there's so much pain and it feels like it has a grip on your heart. And so I just pray that the love of God overtakes you this week, Ramaya. I pray that you would feel such a strong presence of peace and comfort and calm and joy, knowing that you can cast your cares on the Lord because he cares for you. And that simply means, God, I'm not able to take this pressure. God, I'm not able to deal with this anymore. Would you do something with it and give it over to him? And so I just pray that you would find yourself in a place of just pure love and pure peace with God our Father. Ramaya, he loves you. He loves you, and he is concerned with the things that are on your heart. So don't shy away. Don't block God out in this season, Ramaya, but open up your heart and let him in, because he really, truly wants to show you just how great his love is. You will be set free. You will be healed. You will live again. You will love again. And guess what? Your heart will be mended. The Bible says that the Lord is near to the brokenhearted. So he is close to you. He's close to you. He hasn't forgot you, and he will not allow you to suffer long, Ramaya, in Jesus' name. So, oh my gosh, y'all. Oh, I see this type of stuff I get excited for. Marriage is not about a cute wedding. I don't know why I have to keep saying that. I feel it so strongly tonight. Marriage is not about a cute wedding. I know we got our shows on TLC and Lifetime and all that stuff. Marriage is not about a cute wedding, right? God desires to show his love for mankind through the institution of marriage. It is beautiful. And so for those of you that are believing God for a kingdom spouse, the only reason I'm doing this is so that you all can be encouraged. You can be encouraged. You can get the fairy tale of Hollywood out of your mind and build yourself up in your most holy faith, as the Bible says. It's going to take faith. It's going to take faith, and it's going to take faith. Okay. Build yourself up. These are testimonies. These are not just cute love stories, right? These are not just, sweet nothings and something. These are not romance novels or any of that. We don't have time here, but I'm sure if we really dug into these individuals' lives, they would tell you the hell they went through. They would tell you the turmoil they went through. They would tell you the heartbreak, the shame, the disappointment that they went through. But this is the testimony on the other side of that test. So my prayer is that you have faith. Believe God, y'all. Believe God. Listen, next week is, yes, I believe next week is our last episode of Divine Introductions. I got a young couple, y'all, because younger, I should say, because all of our couples, you can tell they get down with the get down. They're young in spirit, right? I have a young couple. They are a new family. They have 2 kids under the age of 2. They are entrepreneurs. They are working in ministry, podcasters. And so I cannot wait to share their story with you all. It's going to knock your socks off. But listen, one time again for the Nelsons. Oh my gosh. When I say I love them, like they don't know me because I just moved down here. They know me through my husband, but they don't know me. But I'm getting ready to soak up all of the wisdom that they have because it's simply beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful what God can do. So I want to say thank you so much to the Nelsons. Listen, if you are new here, make sure you like, subscribe, leave me a comment, talk back to your girl, tell me something, okay? Make sure you share this as an encouragement and testimony with others as well. I love y'all so much. Let me just remind you that you are blessed, beautiful, and loved every single day. God has not forgotten about you. Until next time, y'all. I see you later. See y'all. See y'all. See y'all. Share this broadcast. Don't leave this good wisdom out here in cyber world alone. Okay? Give them some play, y'all. See you later.